Hello everybody, my name is Sniping is Fun, and I welcome you all back to the next Newcomer idea in this long-running series of Newcomer ideas for the upcoming Smash Bros. Game, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And as I mentioned back in the last character number 82, Chun-Li from the Street Fighter series, character number 83, we are finally on character number 83, and the next character I'm going to be talking about is a character from a long-running RPG series that's one of the most iconic RPG series of all time, the series Dragon Quest. And the character, the new main character from the current, recently released on PlayStation 4, soon coming to Switch, RPG from the Dragon Quest series, Dragon Quest XI's main character, the hero. Now, I did a little bit of research. I know for a fact that the main characters of your parties in Dragon Quest games, even though I've never really played a lot of Dragon Quest, usually don't have too many, canon names. Like, they don't have too many names that are canon to their story. They have ideas for characters and you can name them, but more often than not, the characters from Dragon Quest, the main characters at least, the rest of your party and the rest of the games usually have major canon names to it, but the main characters, besides the likes of Eardrick from the earlier games, don't usually have canon names. Doing a little bit of research on the hero, two names came up that are kind of names he was advertised as, one being Yusha and two being 11. So throughout this video, I'm going to refer to him. If you're wondering why I'm switching the name up and if I'm talking about different characters, I'm going to be referring to him as the hero, Yusha, and 11. So there you go. Without further ado, the character from Dragon Quest XI, the main character. And like always, 3 separate categories. Why does the character make sense? Moveset ideas, and percentage chance I can actually see him getting in the game. Now, in terms of Yusha, the hero, 11's chance, why, first and foremost, why does Dragon Quest deserve to be represented in Smash Bros? And second off, why the new main character instead of someone from earlier in the series, like Eardrick or something? First off, let's start with Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest is one of the most long-running, iconic RPG series of all time. It's older than Final Fantasy, and back before Squaresoft and Enix fused together, it was Enix's answer to Final Fantasy, or should I reverse it and say Final Fantasy was Square's answer to Enix, it was Dragon Quest, because Dragon Quest is an older franchise than Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy came out around 1988. Dragon Quest has been around since 86. And it has a long list of games, main entry ones, spin-offs, and whatnot. It is a long-running RPG series that's one of the most iconic RPG series, or just gaming series in general, in the entire video game industry. And it has a super huge history with Nintendo, because most of the games in the series have been on Nintendo platforms. So Dragon Quest has quite a bit of history to Nintendo, especially compared to Final Fantasy, who a lot of its recent history has been off Nintendo. Most of history throughout Dragon Quest's lifetime, since it's been out, has been on Nintendo. So, between the two, we already have Cloud and Final Fantasy, from Final Fantasy and Smash Brothers. So, Dragon Quest has a little more history with Nintendo. So, if Cloud can get in, Final Fantasy can get in for its old-time history with Nintendo and its popularity as a big, long-time running RPG series in the entire gaming industry, Nintendo or otherwise. Why can't Dragon Quest? It's the series is huge, especially in Japan. In Japan, it's a huge freaking franchise. They've treated it as a religion over in Japan. When games release, people take off from school. They take off from work so they can play the game. And it's getting more popular around the world. It's not just popular in Japan. In America and Europe and whatnot, the series is growing popular. So it is deserving, if only from popularity, to get into Smash Bros., which is pulling all these popular, iconic, and popular new time characters from Nintendo or third parties, pulling them into one spot. And Final Fantasy, like Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest has history with Nintendo more so than, probably even more so than Final Fantasy, especially in recent memory, because a lot of the recent games have been on Nintendo, unlike Final Fantasy. Why can't Dragon Quest get put in? And in terms of 11, first and foremost, it's free advertising. The game is coming to Switch sometime next year. It's already been released on PS4 a couple weeks ago, and it's being released on the Switch. Free marketing, free advertising. And the company, Square Enix, is getting a lot closer to Nintendo, so maybe they'd want to include a character from Dragon Quest if they can advertise their latest entry when it finally does come to Switch sometime in 2019. And he has an interesting moveset. It's not like he's too different from old school Dragon Quest main characters, but he has his own unique traits that diverts him from a lot of them, Erdrick or otherwise. And while I do think Erdrick probably would be the more definitive choice, if they want to go for a marketing choice and they want to go for someone more recent and more relevant, like right now, I would say Yusha 11, the hero, is probably that choice that they really should be going for. And and on top of that, Dragon Quest has crossed over with Nintendo numerous times. So like they've had crossover games, they've been included in Nintendo games. Nintendo has had appearances in their games. There's been numerous Dragon Quests, like I said, on Nintendo. Put two and two together, Dragon Quest does deserve to get into Smash Brothers because of its history, not only in the with Nintendo, but in the industry in general. But also this character, because I do think it's, like I said, free advertising, newer character, and he's probably one of the more unique recent choices they can add. The only other choice I think rivaling him is the original character Erdrick. So there you go with that. So that's the reasons for why Dragon Quest in general should be represented, and why the hero from Dragon Quest XI should be the choice to include to represent Dragon Quest in Smash Brothers. Moveset ideas. Now, the moveset is kind of different. He's not totally unique to the point where, like I said, he has his own uniqueness, but he's not probably the most unique they could probably go for unless they're picking side characters or something. Like if they're picking side characters or picking like Erdrick or so, maybe some of them might be more iconic or more unique. But I do have looked, like I said, I haven't played too much. I have not played too many of the Dragon Quest games. I've only played a few games in the series, and I've not gotten to Dragon Quest XI yet. I'm waiting for it on Switch, but I did do some research on the video, like on videos from the game, and pretty much I did kind of come up with a basic concept for a moveset from him. He is a sword user. If you look what's on his hand right now, on his back, he's pulling out a sword, which is basically Erdrick's sword. So somehow he's in the lineage of Erdrick, which is interesting. He's like a long, like great-great-great-grandson reincarnation of Erdrick somehow. I remember he's like a reincarnation of like the classic hero, and I think they're referring to Erdrick. So there you go with that. So he is in the lineage of the classic hero. But like he is a sword user. And I know people are going to kind of bash me and be like, no, we don't need more sword users. Like I said, I've mentioned this numerous times. You can't attack characters. You can't think characters don't stand a chance just because of the weapon they fight with or the moveset they have. That's being biased. He is a sword user. That is a popular fighting style in a lot of fantasy games, a lot of RPGs. He can be different. Sword users can be different, just like lance users, fist users, magic users, and what the heck else ever in fighting games. But he does use a sword, but he does use different styles of swords. He is not just a single-handed sword user. What I found out is he can wield swords two-handed. We don't really have too many of those characters yet. So he switches off between a two-handed sword and dual swords. He can switch off back and forth, which we don't have any dual swords yet, unless the likes of Lloyd Irving gets in this game. So I'm going to say his smash attacks are switching back and forth between attacks with a double sword, which will be slower, and dual swords, which will be faster. Faster, doing more combo-heavy attacks, but less damage. The double-handed sword being slower, but dealing more damage. And it's not a switching maneuver like I mentioned with the likes of like Miriam or other characters I mentioned that have double weapons like Byleth and whatnot. It is certain attacks in his smash attacks to attack with a single sword, and certain ones attack with a double sword. So he has a big sword on his back and dual swords at his waist. So if you press A, he might pull the normal sword out and switch it like. But if you pull like the double, if you press like side A, he just like takes him out and like kind of thing. So he's a double weapon sword user, but it's not a switching moveset like I mentioned with Miriam or Byleth. It's just his some attacks attack with one weapon, some attacks attack with the other. His special attacks, one thing I recently found out is he's really big with zap magic, so like lightning spells, which is a series staple that hasn't been in the series lately until Dragon Quest XI. They haven't used it in a couple of games, so I'd have to represent, not just because of iconic status in the series, but he uses it. He can use lightning magic and shoot you with lightning. There you go. But also, he does a lot of elemental stuff with his sword. I don't know what the correct name is because I was watching Japanese videos and I can't read kanji, so I have no idea what the attacks were called and what they were. But I noticed that he does a lot of elemental attacks. He can do a lightning sword strike, fire, ice, wind, and dark. So various special attacks. He is very heavily a sword user, but he's a sword user that uses a lot of elemental stuff and spells with his sword strikes, which we don't really have in Smash Bros. Yet. So some special attacks will have him take out a sword and he charges it with lightning or ice or dark magic. I don't know if that's what it is. It's like this dark shadowy mist. I'm assuming it's dark magic. Ice, fire, wind, and lightning, and he attacks with it. And maybe it can do some elemental damage. Like maybe lightning attacks will stun your opponent, ice attacks will freeze them, fire attacks will give them a temporary burn, so maybe they earn 1 or 2 damage for 5 seconds or so, extra damage after you attack them. The wind one can maybe push him back. The dark one could probably slow him down, something like that. So I was thinking about that. He is heavily a sword user, but he's an elemental sword user. That's what I want to heavily base his moveset on. And he is very unique in something called Luminary. I don't know if that's his magic skills I just mentioned with his sword or not, but I did do some research. His unique abilities does Luminary. Whatever that does, throw that into his moveset. I'm sorry, I don't know. I have not played the game yet, but throw that into his moveset. So before I get to the final smash, his smash attacks are very base sword attacks, but it's a switch off between two-handed slower sword, more powerful, and dual-bladed faster, but more combo heavy, not as much damage. His special attacks, he can do some zap magic, he can shoot with some lightning, but most of it is elemental sword attacks, whether it be dark, wind, lightning, ice, or fire, which could probably do some elemental damage. If you hit the opponent correctly, maybe they could all be chargeable too. Now, in terms of a final smash, doing the party attack. I'm going to have him summon the party members from Dragon Quest XI to come and help him attack, because an important thing I do recall from Dragon Quest is you can do combo attacks and you can do things. It's not like the Tales franchise. It's not like other RPGs really, but I do recall Dragon Quest having a thing where you can do combo attacks, and party members are important to the series. I don't just want to represent Yusha. I don't want to just represent 11. I want to represent the party members. I did the same thing with Lloyd Irving. I wanted to put the Tales of Symphonia party members into his final smash, like Genus and Colette and everything. So I'm picking 3 party members because the standard party member limit in Dragon Quest is 4. So you have Yusha, and I picked Eric, Veronica, and Jade. I really wanted to pick Sylvando and Rab, because Rab's kind of like this cool little Indian man with a mustache, and he does I think he does magic. I forgot what he attacks with, but he's really cool looking. And Sylvando's this dancer, this energetic dancer guy. They both look really cool, but I kind of wanted to pick the characters I think most fans would really want. And Eric's like a thief, and he has like a boomerang and a knife. And Veronica's a mage, and Jade's like martial artist with claws. So I wanted to pick different weapon styles so they diversify from the swords that Yusha has. So he's going to summon his party. It's going to be a cutscene based one where you run forward, you slice with an attack after you get the smash ball. And then the party members come up, and they're going to attack in a row. It's going to be Eric. He's going to throw a boomerang, and any opponent that's kind of gets hit, they get hit with the boomerang, and then he rushes forward and strikes them with a knife. And then as they're doing it, Veronica's in the back using her wand or something for magic. They get hit. And then here comes Jade, being like martial arts ninja, running forward, takes her claw thing, and then here comes Yusha with 11 with his sword. And then while the opponents are like, "No, we're hurt, no," you have them all summoning a dragon, which I know that, as far as I know, this series doesn't have summons, but as far as I've seen from the Ultimate Attack, the party members come together, they summon the giant dragon. Put that in there, so while the opponents are all hurt from their multiple attacks, they stand in a diamond shape 4, summon the giant dragon to come down and attack the opponents, beat them up, and then send them flying off the stage. There you go. Party attack, summon, whatever. Thus, we get to represent the likes of Eric, Veronica, and Jade. Yusha isn't the only representation. We represent a certain feature, like summons, which is pretty much exclusive to this game, apparently, or it's some sort of ultimate attack or something. And there you go. It represents the game pretty much fully. Now let's get on the percentage chance I can see him actually getting in. I could see it. I do see a Dragon Quest character in general. I do hope that Dragon Quest eventually gets into Smash Bros., even if it's Smash 6, 7, 8. Ultimate would be a cool choice now because it's history. It should just be thrown in now. They did Final Fantasy. It should just be Dragon Quest now. But I don't know if his chances are the best. I'm going to rate like a Dragon Quest character has a chance of maybe like 80%. Maybe. And that's depending on what Square Enix wants to do with this character. There's a rumored Square Enix character, but a lot of people spread that rumor and that leak and whatnot to possibly Geno. But I would hope that Dragon Quest characters, can get into Smash Bros. At some point. And I do think they stand a chance. They had too much history with Nintendo not to get something to represent in Smash Bros. At some point, whether it's Ultimate or not. Yusha, on the other hand, the hero from Dragon Quest XI, he's not the top choice. If I had to represent a Dragon Quest character that has the most chance, the most iconic, popular, impact on the the Dragon Quest series shot on Nintendo or otherwise to get into the series, it had to be Erdrick. He's like the original hero in the first couple games. I have to put him in there. Him though, he stands a chance. He's more likely than some Dragon Quest lead characters, but he's not as likely as others, whether Erdrick or otherwise. I'm going to give him a 45% chance. It's still likely because they might want to use him as an advertising method. And he could be a DLC character for all we know. So maybe I'll give him about 60% DLC, 45% base roster, because maybe they want to put him on the roster next year as DLC when Dragon Quest XI does eventually come to the Nintendo Switch. It'd be good, free, nice advertising for a big RPG on your system, Nintendo, Square Enix and whatnot. I'm going to say 45% chance base roster, 60% chance DLC because maybe they want to advertise it. But in terms of iconic status for the series, it pales in comparison to Erdrick. And I am going to do Erdrick eventually on this list somewhere, so that's a spoiler for a character you're going to eventually see from my videos. So yes, that's it for the Yusha 11, a Dragon Quest hero from 11, whatever. Well, and that's it for this video for Yusha 11, the Dragon Quest 11 hero. Put in the comments below, do you guys want to see Dragon Quest represented in Smash Bros. At all? Would you love to see Dragon Quest represented in Smash Brothers? Put in the comments below, and do you think the character from Dragon Quest 11 is a good choice, or do you want to pick someone else? It doesn't have to be Erdrick or anything, but do you want to pick someone else, or do you want to pick like the Slime, or a side party member, or maybe a villain? I don't know. Dragon Quest, I feel, does deserve it, but I don't know about what you guys think. Put in the comment section down below, discuss it, let's have fun. And that's it for character number 83. And stay tuned when I return for character number 84, when I jump back into the world of Nintendo and talk about a franchise that I think a lot of people have wanted in Smash Bros. At some point, but a series from Nintendo that hasn't really had a game since the DS. And its sister side series, Fire Emblem, has so much representation now. It'd be finally cool to see a character represented from this franchise when I talk about the Advanced Wars series and I talk about Andy. See you all next time. Bye.